Hey everybody, this is Peter. Welcome to my kitchen. Well, if you've gone to some nice steakhouses recently, or maybe in the past even, you've had some really nice dark colored rolls in a bread basket. You know, these are the dark colored rolls that have like some oatmeal on top. I love those rolls and I bet you do too. So today I'm going to show you how to make those dark colored rolls. Sometimes they're referred to as steakhouse rolls. So it's a very easy process, no knead. Let me show you how to do it. Let's go. Okay, my friends, let's go ahead and take a look at the ingredients list. And by the way, before I do that, if you have not subscribed to my channel, please do me a favor and subscribe to the channel. You can do that below, or you can also just use your phone and click on this QR code over here, and that will take you right to our subscribe page on YouTube. And you can subscribe right there while you're sitting in your recliner. How about that? Easy process. All right, I'm gonna go over our list of ingredients. First of all, we're gonna be using 3 cups of bread flour. We're gonna be using 1 cup of whole wheat flour. In addition to that, we're gonna be having some dark coffee. Now this is coffee that's been cooled, and it's a very strong brew, so you want to make about 12 ounces of coffee. And by the way, all the ingredients are gonna be down below in the description area, and you can pick them all up right there. Here we have some brown sugar, which will go in a few minutes. We have some Grandma's molasses, which is going to give it a very, very distinct flavor. We have some cocoa powder, yes sir, and that's going to be going in. Salt, of course, and we have some oil and also some oatmeal towards the end. So I'll be going through all that with you. First of all, you need to weigh out your flour. The bread flour we're going to be using, we're going to be needing 3 cups. That's about 360 grams of flour. So let's go ahead and get our scale going. And if you don't have a scale, you could pick one up on Amazon for less than 10 bucks. So do yourself a favor and go ahead and pick one of these up. So you're going to be needing 3 cups, that's 360 grams of bread flour. There's 1 cup. That's actually more. Here is the reason why you measure your flour by grams. I put in 1 cup of what I thought was 1 cup of bread flour, but it's showing me 155 grams of flour went in. So that's why I now measure with a scale all the flours that I put in, all the dry ingredients basically. So we're going for 360 grams of bread flour. That's 271 so far. A little too much, I'm at 366, 360, perfect. All right, now we're going to be needing 1 cup or 120 grams of whole wheat flour. The whole wheat flour is going to help give us a little more color. It's also going to give a little more strength, and it's going to give it a little more flavor. So that's why we're going to be putting in another 120 grams of whole wheat flour. So we're going to push up our weight of flour up to 480 grams. The next thing I'm going to be doing is pouring in our 12 ounces of strong coffee that has been cooled. So let that coffee cool down. The next thing I want to be adding in is the molasses. You're going to need 1/4 cup of molasses. Just pour that in. You're going to be needing, there it is, you're going to be needing a little spatula such as this one to come in and get all that out. Or a spoon may work for you. I just use this silicone spatula and it works pretty well. Now I need about 1/4 cup of oil. Now do not put in olive oil because that's going to give it a flavor ingredient that you don't want. So just a plain, no flavor oil, such as a canola oil or a vegetable oil. Now one of the ingredients that I forgot a while ago is yeast. And you just want 1 packet of rapid rise yeast. I'm using Red Star Platinum yeast. Be sure to check the date on your yeast because you want it to be active, of course, and sometimes you'll let your yeast get out of date. Not a good idea because your bread will probably flop. So go ahead and check that date. Now stir all this together, and you want to stir this together until the yeast gets combined into the moistured ingredients, such as the coffee and the molasses. The molasses are also going to give the yeast some sugars to work with, and so it'll really start to go very, very well. Speaking of sugar, I'm going to be putting in 2 tablespoons of brown sugar. We'll mix that in. Next, we have 1.5 teaspoons of salt. I'm just using regular sea salt that I buy over at Costco. Now I have 2 tablespoons of Hershey's cocoa powder. This is the non-sweetened type. We'll mix that in. You're not going to be tasting the coffee, you won't be tasting the cocoa powder. It's really just to give it more color. You could also put your cocoa powder in and your salt in with the flours if you want, and get all the dry ingredients to go in at one time. That's your call. Now I'm going to mix in the flours and mix them all in together. Just use a spoon or a fork, whisk, whatever you got handy, and just mix in those flours so they're pretty well combined. I like to use a bread whisk, which looks like this. And you can use this one, or if you don't have a bread whisk, you can use a spatula, but just use the stick end of a spatula, not that end. Because if you use this end, what's going to happen is that the dough is just going to clump up all over this. So I like to use a dough whisk. I typically will add in about 1/3 of the flour, 1/3 to 1/2, and start mixing that in, letting it start to get hydrated. Okay, we can go ahead and add in another 1/3 or so of the flour. Continue to stir till it gets incorporated. You can see what a nice brown color that dough is turning out to be. And that's just by adding the coffee and the cocoa powder. All right, let's add in our last bit of flour. We'll continue to stir this around until it's all incorporated. Now the last thing I'm going to do is use a dough scraper and just knock the dough that's on my whisk off. It's very simple to do. Set that aside. Now use your dough scraper and come in here and just get all the flour off of the sides and get that flour mixed into your dough ball. You can use the dough scraper. What I like to do is use a spatula and come in here and reach down below and just push in like this. And all we're doing is creating some folds into the dough. Just go ahead and bring that dough around about 5 or 6, 7, 8 times. I think that's number 5. We'll just come around to 6. Come around, do like 7. You can also be moving the bowl like this if you want, and that sometimes helps get it all mixed in. It's about 8 times. All right, so we have about 8 folds and all looking good. I'm going to cover this bowl now with plastic wrap, and it's going to sit on my countertop. Or if you have a proofing oven, as I do, my Breville back here behind me, it has a proof feature. So if you have an oven that you can put this bowl into and let it proof up for about 2 hours, you can do that. If you don't have an oven that has a proofing oven, or a proofing feature rather, you can actually put this into the microwave. Don't turn the microwave on, but you might turn the light on, and that light will be enough to create some heat, and this can start to proof or go through its fermenting process that way. So let me get all this done. I'm going to put some plastic on the bowl, go wash my hands, and then clean up my area around here, and I'll come back and I'll show you the next steps. Okay, I'm ready to go on and show you the next step. Let me tell you that I made this particular dough yesterday, and I let it sit in my refrigerator overnight after it had gone through its initial 2-hour fermenting process on my counter, actually in my Breville oven in the proof mode. So I didn't have time to complete this video yesterday, so it's been sitting in my fridge. And by the way, you can do that. You can create the dough like I'm showing you here. You can let it go through its 2-hour initial proofing stage, or they call it a bulk ferment, and then you can put it into your refrigerator and let it sit there for 2, 3, 4 days if you want to. So you could do this ahead of time and just be ready later on. Okay, I'm just going to put a little flour here on the dough, and that's going to make it a little less sticky when it comes out. I put some around the edge. Now, you just want the dough to come out of the bowl. I sometimes use a scraper, like you see here, to help move the dough along. Be gentle. with the dough. Be gentle, because we're not trying to knock the gases and bubbles out. So just be gentle and it will come out for you. Perfect. Okay. Then I use my scraper and I come back in and I just go ahead and get the remainder of the dough and put it right there. Okay, let me set this back in the back. Be right back. Now sprinkle a little bit of flour over the dough and kind of flatten this out. Put a little flour on your hands like that. And you just want to flatten this out a bit. If it's sticky down below, just put a little flour there. A little sticky right here, so just put a little flour. Not much, please don't put a lot of flour there. Just enough. Just enough to make it not too sticky. All right, now just kind of reach in and pull it out like this, all the way around, flatten it out a bit. Pull it out like that, just a little bit. Okay, now, ready to go to the next step. You want to pick up the corner right here, pull and move it to the middle. Pick up this corner, pull and move it to the middle. Pick up this corner, pull, move it to the middle. Pick up this corner, pull, move it to the middle. Pick up this side, pull, move it to the middle, just like that. So now we're just going to use our hands. We're going to cup our hands and move down like this. Okay? So we're cupping and bringing it in. Turn as you go, and all we're trying to do is tighten it up. And making this beautiful ball. I'm going to divide this dough into 12 rolls today. So I'm going to, first of all, divide the dough pretty much in half. Now this is going to be really wet on the inside, so put a little flour there. I'm going to cut these in half. And then I'm going to be cutting these into thirds. Okay, so we have here 1, 2, 3. So that's going to give us a total of 12 rolls. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, cut this again in half. No, we're going to cut this again. There's 1. And I made this a little bit short, so I'll come in here and just add that to that. Just like that. Put it together. Perfect. Okay. That one. Now we're going to divide this into 3. 1, 2, 3. So now we have 12 rolls. Let's put these together. I'm moving this over because I'm going to be putting them on parchment paper. Okay, at this juncture, you want to, if you have a baking stone, put the baking stone into your oven and turn the oven on to 375 F. That's about 190 C. So I have my parchment paper here. The dough is pretty sticky, so I'll set some flour right there. And all we're going to do is just create a ball. So we're going to pull this around like this, and then just make your ball like that, just like that. And then I come in here to the bottom and I just simply pinch it all together, just like that. Simple to do. Very, very, very simple. All right, set the first one right there and move on and do the next. Again, just trying to create the ball. Just bring things over, fold it around like that, and just, this is the way that I do it. If you have a different way, that's okay. I'm just creating the ball, and we'll kind of pinch it all together and at the bottom. Just like that. Perfect. Okay, let me get all the rest of these finished and then I will come back and show you the next steps. Okay, we're on our way to the next step. I'm going to be spraying these down with a little water, and then we'll be putting some oatmeal on top. It really is for decoration, but it makes it look nice and kind of fun. So let me get some water, be right back. Okay, I have a spray bottle of water, and I'm just going to spray each one of these a little bit on the top. Put a good amount of oatmeal here, and that's really going to give it some nice decoration and make it really kind of a fun thing to look at and be eating. Okay, we'll spray the last 4 with the water. Okay, the next step is to let these go through their second proof. So now I'm just going to cover these up with some plastic wrap that I've sprayed with some oil so that they don't stick too much. And then they will sit here for 30 minutes. and then we'll be going into the oven. Remember, if you have not preheated your oven, start it now, 375 degrees, and if you're using the stone, it needs to heat up, so go ahead and get your stone hot as well. If you don't have a pizza stone or a bread stone inside, a baking stone, you can use a aluminum tray or aluminum sheet pan, flip it on the other side, and put that in there, and then you can let the roll sit there on top of that, and that will serve as your baking tray. Okay, let me get this wrapped up, and I'll be back in about 30 minutes to show you the rest. 30 minutes for me, a few seconds for you. Be back. Okay, my friends, as we can see, this is proofed up very nicely for these rolls. We have 12 incredible steakhouse style rolls right here. We're going to be using a pizza peel to scoop this up off of the parchment paper with the parchment paper and put these into the oven. So I'm going to get the pizza peel over here and get this ready to go, and we're going to put them in the oven. It takes about 20 minutes at 375. All right, see you soon. Okay, everybody, it's been about 20 minutes, and I'm going to go take these fantastic steakhouse style rolls out of the oven. Bring them up here, let you see them, and you'll see that turned out beautifully. My entire home smells like a fantastic bakery right now. It's great. Be right back. These rolls look fantastic, don't they? They sure do, and they're awfully hot too. So now is the hardest part about baking bread, period, is the waiting period. Because we're going to have to wait until these cool off, and that's going to take about 30 to 45 minutes. And then I'll come back and I'll show you, I'll cut into one of these and show you the crumb, which most of you want to see. And then we'll talk about how delicious they are too. All right, be back soon. Well, here you have it, my friend. Look at the crumb of that beautiful steakhouse style roll. It looks fantastic, and believe me, they taste even better. I hope you enjoyed watching the video today and you learned something, and you'll give this recipe a try. Do me a favor, if you have not subscribed to the channel already, please do me a favor. You can subscribe right from that recliner that you're sitting in using your smartphone. Just use your camera and click on this QR code over here, and that will take you right over to our subscribe page on the YouTube channel. Really appreciate you watching today. Please do me a favor also and tell a friend about the new channel, and also ask them to subscribe. I would really appreciate it. Give us a big thumbs up. We'll see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.